Hey y'all, so today I want to talk about the pandemic. Wah, wah, wah. No, but seriously, I want to just I'm all about reframing, and reframing is just a matter of trying to see the brighter side of things, or shifting the perception of a situation to see um, the positivity that came out of it. And so with the pandemic, even though this pandemic and COVID may have triggered a mental break, being flooded with many negative or overwhelming feelings or emotions like fear, anxiety, terror, uncertainty, hopelessness, helplessness. This isolation and dormancy allowed a flood of emotions, feelings, and thoughts to come up. I understand. It allowed you, though, to address maybe things you never had the time to address and take care of the things for those same reasons. However, it wasn't a moment to feel like you had to be over analytical and critical to seek the truth. I know you had nothing but time on your hands, laid off, fired, with the added stress of kids and a relationship, and that's for the people who were at home. Being in the field, you may have had the stresses as well, because some people were working in the medical field and they had the stresses of seeing trauma day in and day out. And some people who were just taking their day-to-days had major shifts within their normal everyday lives. These major shifts created a lot of fear-mongering, fear-based revelations and thought processes. Even the strongest of couples and families suffered, and this relatability of suffering should be bringing us together, cultivating compassion and empathy, not shame, guilt, or judgment. You were given an opportunity to make something from a dark and scary circumstance. I just want you to know that it is normal to feel the fear, and going into the positives of that pandemic, you had chances to, look into your mental health, look into, maybe physical ailments that you were going through, maybe go to that doctor that you never had the chance to go to the doctor. Maybe a lot of people were able to get unemployment and who haven't had the opportunity to not even have to work, but sustain their livelihood and their living and get the break that they needed. We've been going in this very, hustle and bustle, strong energy. How can I say, more like work mentality, grind mentality, hustle mentality, which is good, but it's like at some point you need rest. At some point you need a break. And a lot of people, even from the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of people were saying, this and that. And I was just thinking like, dang, it's weird that I don't feel like that. I was like, man, this has been the best year of my life, 2020, because I actually had the opportunity to try to, start my journey of finding myself, even though I went down a road of almost changing who I was in my identity and as a whole, like totally to try to fit in and try to have this relatability. But I found myself again, and what I look at it, the way I interpret it is, this is an opportunity to learn how to self-regulate, to learn from experience. Every time you have these emotions, every time you're feeling these things, you can change. It's about the idea of these emotions and these feelings and these thoughts don't have to be here forever. They're temporary. And knowing that you have the power to control them, knowing that I get it, you being in this state of dormancy may have uncovered a lot of the unconscious, repressed emotions and traumas and wounds that you may have had that affect your behavior. A lot of these things were coming out of the darkness. A lot of these things were coming out of the closet, so to speak, or were coming out of the deep crevices that you may have subconsciously repressed, and the subconscious and the unconscious of your whole system of self. It was an awakening of self. This is an opportunity for some. For everybody didn't go through this, and I get it, because some people, what they call highly sensitive people, and I don't even know if I really know if that's a real thing, but I know I do feel like a highly sensitive person. I just kind of feel like everybody's kind of highly sensitive. It's just that some people are still busy with life, and that helps them cope with when you're just sitting here still isolated and have nothing to do but think. The way we have evolved now, and then being bombarded with fear and terror every moment you turn on the TV, every moment you listen to the radio, it's only inevitable that you're going to go through some type of psychological trauma, some type of psychological breakdown, some kind of anxiety, some kind of fear. And my thing is, the first step of any journey is self-admittance and self-accountability. And that's something you've been given opportunity to do. You've been given the opportunity to take a long look at yourself in the mirror and see what do you want to change about yourself. Not from this judgmental standpoint, but just basically it is what it is. If you feel like you've been this way to people for a long time and you're ready to change and you're ready to actually find your sense of purpose in life, actually tackle things, dreams that you've had for a long time, actually pride yourself in the things that you choose to do in life. Your mother, pride yourself in that. Your father, pride yourself in that. You went and got you a trade. You got this certification. You got that. You got this training. These are accomplishments that you had the opportunity to do in a situation that was left you with not many options. And I get it, but the thing is, you also have to acknowledge the fear. It is okay if you're scared. It is okay if you feel fear. It is okay if you feel uncertainty. You have to acknowledge those things first to have that self-admittance and that self-accountability. So that's the first step. And I don't even know if I want to say to healing, because like I said, a lot of these emotions and feelings that we think are just individual to us are normal to a human experience or normal to humans overall. And sometimes we get too caught up in critiquing and judging ourselves or analyzing ourselves that we think we're just this enigma, this grand thing. What's happening to me? And it's like, it's life. It's part of the process, and it's part of circumstances that we have not foreseen or ever thought we would ever be in. And you just have to learn how to seek the counseling that you need, make the changes that you need to make, and do the things that you need to do to continue to elevate yourself mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And spiritually, emotionally is kind of one and the same. Honestly, spiritually is just an encompassing of everything, because it's basically, spirituality to me is life. And it's about just being able to maneuver through life with a sense of peace and acceptance and faith. And to me, faith is a big aspect of this whole pandemic. And what you have to take out of it is all the good that you were able to accomplish. Don't dwell so much on what has happened. And, some people are still going through this phase of not really understanding what they're going through. And I just want you to know that you may be going through a lot of emotions. You may be having a lot of anxiety and fears, and these are normal. Like, it is okay. We're in a very trying time. But to me, what has taken a lot of the fear away is faith. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't have fear. You don't want to also psych yourself out of it and act like you don't have fear or you don't have anxiety if you do, because subconsciously it's still going to be there. Those thoughts and those narratives are going to be there. It's about when those thoughts and those feelings come up that you can't control, reframe them, or, journal about it and say like, okay, how can I rationalize this? Okay, yes, I do. I am scared that, I'm sending my son off to school. I'm sending my child off to school. And, there's these news reports of more cases popping up. Is this going to be another pandemic? Turn the news off, because what is it doing? It's only fueling you with fear. At the end of the day, this is why faith is important, because I have faith that what happens is going to happen. God's will is God's will. And no matter how many news reports I watch, what can I do to stop the inevitable? You know what I mean? Other than pray and ask God to continue to watch over me and my family. I do this every day now. It's become a routine that me and my family, we pray throughout the day. We say thank you for the things that we have. We try to ground in gratitude. And I have, episode on that. I have many episodes that you can kind of look at to kind of help get a better understanding of all this. But I just want to tell you that there was a lot of positives that came out of the pandemic, and try to lean into those when you're feeling overwhelmed, but also acknowledge, what you're going through and what you're feeling, because that is okay. You're human. Me and my husband joke about this all day now, because we be like, bro, I'm human. I'm human. People get mad when you say that or whatever, but it's just funny, because it's like, you really are though. And cliches can become funny because we overuse them, but we overuse them because they're tried and true. It really is true. We are human, and we sit up here, we keep holding ourselves to these extreme standards. And I'm not saying not to dream big, not in that sense, but it's just like, what do you asking of yourself, and can you do it at that moment, and are you trying to jump from A to Z, or are you taking the baby steps that you need to take to get there? But I want to end this with a quote, kind of like a little quote. It's something that me and my husband, we have written on the chalkboard, like right before you get into the kitchen or whatever. But it says, self-discipline creates success physically and mentally. Believing in God, all things are possible. Amen. And so with that, I just want people to know that sometimes this is an opportunity to create some discipline. Get out your balance wheel. My balance wheel has rest and sleep, good nutrition and exercise, relationships, which is family, friends, community. It has work, financial, and career. It has intellectual stimulation. It has creativity and play. And finally, spirituality and a sense of purpose. And you can kind of gauge these. I don't really do all that gauging. So like I said, I try to do the simplistic things as possible. Minimalism can help for the person with a very obsessive compulsive mind like me. But every now and then, when I'm feeling a little overwhelmed or a little like off, like why am I feeling sad or what's going on, I'll look at that and I'm like, what am I lacking? Okay, I feel like I'm not achieving I'm not where I want to be in my career or my sense of purpose, or I feel like I'm not this, or I feel like maybe I need to go hang out with some of my friends or my cousins or my sisters, or maybe I need a little more intellectual stimulation. That's never a lacking one, best to believe. Or maybe, I want more financial stability or, whatever. But once I do that, I still try to go back and ground in their gratitude, because that is what, when you say like, it could always be worse. And there is somebody who is suffering more. It's not to take away from your suffering, but it's to see that when you see people who are doing worse than you, in a sense, what you perceive as doing worse than you, it makes you realize how blessed you are. And it shouldn't have to take someone going through something bad to make you realize how blessed you are. You have to constantly try to get in that space of gratitude without seeing suffering. You know what I mean? And I just hope this motivates you and kind of helps you reflect on the positives that came out of this pandemic, and how you now have the opportunity to make the best of this time and make the best of this circumstance. And I know you've already been doing it, and I'm proud of you, and I want you to know you're doing a great job, and keep it up.